Yo, what it do, family? It's your man, Nathaniel Belcher, aka Coach B, aka Nate Dogg, with that episode of Yo, what it do, black man? Man, I'm so happy to be back in this chair with my man, Doc. So today, I am going to interview Doc. We're gonna find out a little bit about Doc. We're gonna find out about his background, man, and then we're gonna find out about his business and the services that he offers. And we're gonna find out. He's gonna give us a couple tips today, man. He gonna get on the board, back here. So the goal is to link up with Doc a couple times a month, man, so that as questions and stuff come in, he can, assist and give us a little tidbit, man, something to help us deal with whatever we got going on, whatever childhood trauma we have going on, whatever abandonment issues, or just, man, stress of being a dad right now, man, or being a husband, whatever you're dealing with, man. So without further ado, let's bring my man on, Doc. How you feeling today?
Doing pretty good, Nate.
Good.
Can't complain, man.
So tell us a little bit about you, where you started, where you began, all that good stuff, man.
Oh, boy. Well, my life has been one roller coaster ride.
All right.
It has surely been a journey that I cherish to this day. And it's been my understanding over the years that if you're living a life that you think you're living and there are no challenges, you haven't been living at all. You're just fooling yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
So, that being said, I think I'm a traditional guy. All-American guy. Grew up in a blue-collar family.
Okay.
No silver spoons.
Most of us didn't have a silver spoon.
Didn't have any silver spoons. But everything was good. I never wanted for anything.
Okay.
My mother made sure that I wasn't neglected in any way.
Okay.
And she's still around to this day. She's 94 years old.
Wow, that's a blessing.
So it truly is a blessing.
That's a blessing.
But to start at the beginning, and what I would call the beginning, for our listeners, is that everything about us that we're dealing with now, that we dealt with before, has happened before. And for everything that you've gone through in your life that you never really took time to find out why, stays with us. It's locked in our subconscious mind.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that later on. But these challenges, the journey that I've had in life, were building blocks that allowed me to arrive where I am today.
Absolutely.
So who I am, what I've been able to achieve, I owe to the journey.
And sometimes we forget that. Like we forget about the journey.
We do forget.
We're always focused on the destination or the end point, and we forget all the little stuff that you learned, or even just the experiences of walking outside on a great day and that day just being amazing. You forget about that day because you still thinking about, I gotta get this degree, or I gotta work to get this promotion, or I'm working to finish school, or just something. Yeah.
Something to distract you. Something to, it's that little voice that's always whispering in your ear where you can't do something, And before you realize it, you have made yourself believe that you can't do it. So if you hear that, if you hear the negativity enough, you're going to buy into the negativity.
Absolutely.
And that was something that I just vowed not to do. Now, was I taught that? I'm sure I had these positive images from my mother and my father. They were very good people. They just couldn't make it as a couple.
Yep.
And as I got older, I understood what that meant because, you know, marriage is what it is, but blood is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And for me to have faulted my father for the divorce or looked at my mother in a different way, thinking that she might have been contributing to that, you know, it's a give and take kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah.
So marriages in and of itself, Nate, are just complex.
It
Because
is.
you're always dealing with somebody else. You're dealing with a different personality, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
marriages are very, very complex.
Oh yeah.
Yes, definitely. As we were talking earlier.
Exactly.
We were talking about it early, man. Marriage ain't for the faint of heart, man. You gotta be a G if you want to be married, particularly in today's society.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, what was cool back then, yeah, man, it ain't cool now for marriage. So you got to be a G now to be married.
That's right.
It ain't for the faint of heart.
Not at all.
Yeah, I don't know if I got that in me no more.
I know I don't, man.
I don't know if I got that one in me no more. We could date. Well, that marriage, woo.
That traditional thing, I don't know if I can do
That's
that,
smoke right there, man.
I'm
That's smoke.
Absolutely.
No, let me stop, because somebody will be like, oh, I was going to go out with you. Now you ain't talking about getting married.
I'm going to change my mind.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's cool. So, Doc, let's talk about the business of, you know, what you do. What is it, you know, how is it if somebody sits down and they talk to you, right? And they say, hey, you know, I've been feeling this kind of way about this or this way about this. How would they go about, you know, linking up with you or, you know, being able to sit down and talk to you? Yeah. How would you do that? Or not necessarily, more so specifically, how is that traditionally done? Because I think people have phobias about coming in to talk to,
especially black people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because absolutely, we don't want to go to the hospital. We definitely we don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. You are absolutely right about that.
Right.
But talk about like the process and the confidentiality and, you know, stuff like that, just to kind of ease people's mind about even looking for a psychologist as yourself or a psychiatrist. Oh, also, can you explain the difference?
Okay. The terms that black people tend to gravitate to over time, this whole idea of a psychologist being a shrink.
Okay,
and that's a negative terminology, and it really kind of turns people off. I know my father never really understood why I was seeing a therapist through the VA.
Okay.
Because of my post-traumatic stress that emanated from the war.
Yes.
The war in Vietnam. Yes, I'm 73 years old. So
man, look here. I tell you about that melanin. Okay, let me stop. All right.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I worked for 36 years for the city of Chicago. And while I worked, and I want the young people to hear this, because so many people tell me, well, I can't work and go to school. I said, well, tell me why you think you can't do that. You know, how much time do you have on your hands? Do you have a job now? No, I don't. Are you in school now? No, I'm not. Well, there's your time.
Right.
So what are you telling me you can't do both? So I managed to do both, and I put my life first and what I wanted out of my life. And that's big though, Doc. Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't. We always put everybody else first, particularly as men. Right. So as a man, you're just taught, particularly from our age. You know, I'm in my 50s. We're taught, you know, put the woman first, or your kids, or, you know, everybody is. We are the last to be taken care of. Yeah. And a lot of times we end up being ignored.
That's true.
You know, I remember there was this thing that Bill Cosby did for Father's Day, right? And it was kind of this joke, and he talked about, you know, the elaborateness of Mother's Day and, you know, Christmas and all of that stuff. And when Father's Day comes, you get a pair of socks or a tie.
If that,
Yeah, you know, a tie that you never gonna wear again.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah, but go ahead, Doc.
That's true. So, trying to find a way to fit into a world that I wanted to create for myself. Because the world that we're all forced into is a world that is governed by people other than ourselves.
Absolutely.
People who are different from we are. So, but that's where the jobs are. That's where the money is. And if you put the money before the job, that's one thing. But whatever job you get into, it's got to be a job where you have a skill set for. You know, so luckily during my era, jobs were plentiful, Nate. You know, when I got out of the military, I was a Marine, and I got out in 1970, and I got on the police department in 1973. So I was fortunate enough to take my military training into the police department. And believe it or not, Nate, that was very comfortable for me.
Okay.
Because as a Marine and the training that they give us, they virtually teach you how to kill.
Ooh,
That's
okay.
it. That's it. That's the Marine Corps. So going through that training, the advanced training, and being shipped over to Vietnam, you know, and having been there for a year and having seen some very horrific things that you might have seen on TV or you might have read in a book, triple that. And that's how bad Vietnam was.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough, I was blessed enough to come out of that. Going back into civilian life, or what I thought civilian life was,
Okay.
but it wasn't, because it was nothing but corruption and lying and cheating and nothing that I was accustomed to as a military person.
Okay.
And people who are in the military will confirm that when we left military life thinking that we were going to civilian life, that wasn't the case. Because we were more disciplined, we were more committed, we were more acclimated to doing things the right way. You know, you start your day by getting up and taking care of your hygiene, fixing yourself something to eat, making your bed, doing all those things that we were taught in the military. And coming back into civilian life, it wasn't like that at all. It was nothing but disarray and confusion and chaos. So the police department, I did 20 years and was lucky enough to come off the street and out of uniform and worked in specialized units.
Okay.
This allowed me to meet a lot of people who were able to help me down the line with different things that I wanted to do.
Okay.
Now, promoting during that period of time was not really conducive, or was not really an advantage for blacks. They just weren't promoting blacks during that period of time. So I had said, okay, I'm gonna give myself 10 years to make sergeant.
Okay.
Now, others, being whites, you know, they had that opportunity like after 5 years.
Wow.
So I said, well, if I'm not a sergeant in 10 years, I'm gonna have to find something else.
Okay.
And then virtually that's what happened. I left the department, got lucky, was offered a job by the mayor of Chicago at that particular time to head up his gang program for the city under the Department of Human Services.
Okay.
So that program really kind of launched me and helped me to define what my skill set was. So I've always been one to.
So can I pause you for a second? Can we
Yeah.
take a step back? So you just decided, because I want folks to hear this. I think they missed that. You decided that in 10 years, if you weren't at this point, you were going to leave.
Absolutely.
And you just walked away from that pension.
No, I took a leave.
Okay, all right.
And that was offered to city workers because you could carry your pension into another phase of
Okay.
Chicago government.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took a leave after 20 years.
Okay.
And I took a leave because I didn't know what I was getting into was going to work.
Okay.
All right. And fortunately it did. So I was able to retire with 36 years of service.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So, that's called stepping out on faith. That's what I was really getting to. He made a clear decision that if I'm not sergeant in 10 years, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because, again, that's just another example of him putting himself first. That's really why I wanted to pause right there, right? And since we talking about pause, let's take a pause for the cause. We're going to be back. Love y'all.